Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with Scrapping for Less and their Flavor of the Month card kit for December. And December's theme is Sending Love. Yes, Valentine's Day, believe it or not, is right around the corner. With the way that this year moved, yes, absolutely. So let's do the reveal first, and I'm going to show you what comes in your kit. First, if you get the Double Dip Sundae level. So the ingredient sheet and also the sketches will be available for download down below in my video description. I will have the link to where you can go to get them from the Scrapping for Less page. So to start off, you get 2 pieces of white. You will get 1 sheet of blue raspberry, pink lemonade, wild cherry, night shift blue, chocolate, and snow cone. And I do apologize. I do have a cold. My husband was still sharing, and I keep telling him to stop. Okay, so for collection 1, it's called Puppy Hugs and Kisses. So your papers are by Scrapping for Less, and they are called Puppy Hugs and Kisses, along with the stamp set. That's going to be called that as well. You're also going to get some enamel dots by Gina Marie Designs. You will get some Puppy Pals odds and ends by Doodlebug Designs. And they are die cuts, as you can see. Now, also what will be part of your collection will be the XO ribbon as well. So for collection 2, this one is called Would You Be Mine? Get that, Would, O-O-D. Okay. The papers are called the same, Would You Be Mine? Also the stamp set. So again, the paper and the stamp set is by Scrapping for Less. You're going to get some heart die cut pieces out of wood. They are by Lars Crafts. You're also going to have some enamel dots, again by Gina Marie, and some love stickers. And of course that is the most adorable stamp set. So for the third collection, that one is called Friendship. And with each of the collections, don't forget, you do get an envelope for each of your cards. Collection 3, your papers are by Scrapping for Less, and they're called Oh My Heart. The stamp set is also going to be by Scrapping for Less, but that one is called Friends of the Heart. You will get Fabric Flowers by Desiree. You will get some Glossy Hearts by Pink and Maine, and an arrow stencil by Scrapping for Less as well. So it's got love, and it's got some arrows going all in different directions. So that'll be able to make some great designs for your cards. So for collection 4, this one is called Snail Mail. The stamp set is going to be by Sunny Studios Stamps, and that is going to be called Snail Mail. And then the papers here are called Happy Mail, and they are by Scrapping for Less. You will get another set of enamel dots by Gina Marie Designs, some sprinkles enameled shapes by Doodlebug Designs, and some heart brads by Creative Expressions. Brads, I think they are just very missed. So these 4 collections and the paper will fill for the Double Dip Sundae. So if that's the level that you subscribe to, those are the items that you will get. Now please note, some of these items are subject to change without notice, but only when it's necessary. Now if you subscribe to the Banana Split level, you will also receive this packet here. You will get some adhesive foam squares by Scrapbook Adhesives, a love die by Scrapping for Less. You'll get Sentiments of the Heart stamp set by Scrapping for Less, and you will get a sequin mix, yes, by Scrapping for Less. So these are the contents of the kit. Let's get started with card number 1. So as always, because I'm doing the 5 cards with the 1 kit, all of the coloring and fussy cutting and everything else are done off camera. So I did take one of the stamped puppies, stamp that onto a piece of white cardstock, and then I used my Prismacolor pencils to color her. And then I'm using one of the die cuts. I took out all of the center so that it looked like it was a photograph frame. All of my card bases are cut to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. This way I'll get a slight white border around my design area on my standard A2 side card bases, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and they will either be a top or a side folding card, depending upon how we lay out our items. I have a strip going across my pattern paper, and now I'm just cutting smaller pieces of my double-sided foam squares just to go across so that I can prop up the sentiment wolf to be even with my photograph. I'll be using some of the gemstones in the upper right-hand corner, sorry about that, from large to small. And I'm just going to use my scissors to straighten that out just a little bit. Once I know those are where my pieces will be set, I can now remove the release paper. Now, to make sure that I put that photo back where I really wanted it, I just put 2 pencil dots to know where the 2 bottom corners would be approximately. And now I'll be pulling off the release papers off my sentiment, and then I will set that down as well. I'll use my liquid adhesive to adhere this whole panel onto my standard A2 size card base. And that is our first card. For our second card, again, I dug into the pattern paper and I pulled out some of my oxides. I pulled out my cracked pistachio, vintage photo, broken china, and picked raspberry. So on the majority of the pieces, or I should say when it comes to the cardstock, I'll be going around those with the vintage photo. But for each of the wood pieces, I'm going to use either cracked pistachio. Just have it, the cold. It's killing me. It's really killing me. Broken china or picked raspberry. And I'm going to use that for each of the wooden hearts. Wow, that took a long time to get all that out, didn't it? All right. The applicators that I'm using are actually my Nuvo sponge blenders, just to put that around the edge. I didn't want to cover the whole piece. I just wanted to have just the hint of color going around the edge of those. So now we're going to layer our cardstock. I'm going to use my double-sided foam squares to prop some of these layers up. Once I have this layer put onto my card design base, again, that's cut 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I'm going to set that strip going across, but even with the top of that wood panel. So I'm just going to real quick flip this over so that I can trim that, so that I know where to put my double-sided foam squares. I'm just going to set the foam squares on each of the sides because it'll just straddle across the top of that panel that's already propped up with the same foam squares. So I don't have to put anything in the middle. I'm just going to pick this up to make sure that I am even and going across that top. I am also going to put just a section of the foam square at the top of the oval and then use my liquid adhesive for the rest. And now I'll just have fun placing the hearts around between the wood and also the glossy ones. And I'm just going to have a trail of those coming up the card. And then we'll take this panel and we will adhere it to our standard A2 size card base, and this one will now be a top folding card. And that is card number 2. So for card number 3, I'm going to use just the heart of this stamp set. Now, you could do this a couple ways. I'm definitely going to use my stamp positioner. Now, you could actually cut the heart away from the stamp, and then you would still, you'd be able to put it back together. Or, I'm just going to use some Post-it strips, and I'm going to cover up the hands, because I don't want to stamp those in my Versamark ink. I'm going to first prep my circle, excuse me, with my anti-static tool, and then I'm going to carefully ink up just the heart. I'm going to remember to remove the Post-it stickers and then just press along the heart. If I have to, I'll be able to use a dry brush once I apply my embossing powder, and I'm using my Recollections Gold. And of course I drop it. That's one way to get it covered. I'm using my Recollections Gold that I get from Michaels. Now, there's just some small areas where I did have to come in with a brush just to clean those up. I'm going to go around the edge with my Nouveau sponge and my Vintage Photo, just to add a little bit of that color to that heart as well. Now, I am going to put a sentiment in the center of that heart after I get all of my papers layered. So I'm using a combination of the pattern paper that came in the kit along with the solid. And for this one, I'm using the solid brown. I'm going to make this strip from the blue cardstock into a fishtail banner. And then I'm going to take the other cardstock and just cut a smaller and thinner strip on that as well. So this sentiment is very dainty. It's very fine. And it says, "A true friend reaches for your hand and touches your heart." So I'm actually going to put that in the center of this heart that I just got done heat embossing. Again, I'm going to prep my cardstock with my anti-static tool and then use my Versamark ink to stamp my image, and then I'm going to pick up my gold embossing powder again. Once that's done, I'm going to grab my heat tool and make sure that that is heat set and melted. Once that's cool, we're going to finish putting our pieces together. I am going to put a little bit of Vintage Photo around the blue. And again, just a touch, and then also onto the side banner as well. I'm going to prop up the panel onto the design base just to give it a little bit of dimension, and I'm going to remove those release papers and set that in place, and I'm going to set it towards the bottom just a little bit. And now I'm going to layer the fishtail banner, and I'll use my liquid adhesive for that. And then I'll set the small strip down on the right-hand side towards the bottom. And then I'm going to take my circle and I'm going to prop that up as well. And I'm going to have that somewhat go over that blue fishtail banner. I'm going to then grab some of these enamel dots, and at first I was going to put them up in the upper right hand corner. Yeah, I changed my mind. Because you really didn't see them up there. So before they set, I real quick grab them, and I'm just going to set them down on that little banner that I have towards the bottom. I will be adding one of those fabric flowers as well, and I'll actually use a glue dot to adhere that flower as well. Again, using my liquid adhesive to set the flower in place. This is where I realized I had two. Yes, didn't know that. And I'm just going to set that in between the small strip and the heart. So for our last card, or the fourth card, so again, stamped and colored some of my image prior to this and off camera. So I have the snail and the mailbox already colored. Now I used my alcohol markers for that. And what I'm doing is I'm using my Memento marker on the thin side, and I'm just adding some blades of grass like it is at below the mailbox. I'm going to come in with 3 different shades of green, and so I know which one's which. Since I'm using my Prismacolors, sometimes even though I have a test swatch at the end, it's still not correct. So I just like to know which one's my lightest to my darkest. So I'll just make like a little chart off to the side there, and then those are the numbers to the markers. So I'm going to first go in with my light. I'm then going to go in with my medium shade and just flick some colors in there. And then I'm going to come in with my darker shade, just to give it some depth. I will come in with the lightest shade out of all of them and go over. You can see I'm putting like a line for the grass. Just to show, okay, this is the end. This is, we know where it stops. And then I'm not going to blend that out, because that's okay, because the differences, you know, can be the grass and so forth. Now, I did make a mask for the mailbox, because what I was going to do, I was going to use, because this is taking me forever to get this off, I was going to do some ink blending to create the sky, create some clouds, and I didn't want to lose all of that. But I just decided to do something else. I decided to come in with my Cool Shadow alcohol marker and just go around the edge. This way I didn't have to worry about, you know, getting anything on the image. And I'm outlining everything that I have there. Oh, I'm so sorry about this cold. I must sound awesome. So now I'm going to come in with some of those stickers. So I'm going to put the sun up in the right-hand corner, and then I'm going to add the three clouds. No, I will not cut them, because I know I'm going off the side there. That's okay. They're going to be on another panel, a matte panel. But you saw I was thinking about it. Yes, no. I heard you all screaming. So I'm going to lift up my mask, and I'm going to place this down onto the cardstock, the pattern paper mat that I cut. The sentiment I chose is "You make my heart smile." And now I'm going to layer up another piece of pattern paper. So I'm just going to lay this on top of the strip so that I can put the double foam squares directly onto the base. If I put them onto the other piece, I'm not quite sure where it's cut, and I didn't cut it to the length. Yeah, I just made this 10 times worse. So, it's just one way to put a strip onto your pattern paper when you're layering them. going to set that down, and then I will trim off the top so that it's even with my cardstock. I'm only going to put double-sided foam tapes on the one side of this image so that it'll actually straddle up onto the panel that I just put down as well. Using my liquid adhesive when it goes onto the other panel, and then I'm going to set that right down into the center. I will add a few of the enamel dots, and these are in a red color. I am going to come in with another journaling pen just to make those lines a little darker for the blades of grass, so that it can match what's up underneath the mailbox. And then I will just place 3 of my enamel dots around my photo there. Using my liquid adhesive again, I'm going to adhere that onto my standard A2 size card base. Okay, and for our 5th card, this is using the banana split items that came in, or some of them. So I am going to use the double-sided foam squares and the die. So I used one of my heart dies from my stash, and I cut that over some folded cardstock. So this way I have a hinge. My card will be in the shape of a heart. And then I used that same heart to cut out a piece of the pattern paper to cover up the card base. So that is going to stick out just a little bit along the top, but it's still a card that could be stood up. I cut a smaller heart out of some white cardstock, and then I went around it using my sponge with picked raspberry. I'm going to use my foam squares just to prop this up, and I'm going to set this catty-cornered within the large heart. I cut 2 pieces from the cardstock with the die in the light blue and also the brown. Now I'm going to cut the heart that's attached to that off, because all I want is the word love. And I'm going to take the lighter cardstock and just create a shadow with the darker, with the chocolate brown. And then that'll help to make that sentiment stand out just a little bit. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the back of that, and then I'm going to set that right across the white heart. I'm also going to add some of the shiny or glossy enamel dots to this, staying on the white heart. And that is our final card. So I hope you enjoyed my 5 cards from the one kit for Scrapping for Less and the Flavor of the Month kit that they have for December. Remember, the theme for this month's kit is Sending Love. I will have links to the downloads, which is the sketches, and also the ingredient sheet down below as well, along with links to the Scrapping for Less website. So that includes their blog, their shop. They're always running some great sales, so I encourage you to check that out. There will be other links down below as well, and also if you have any questions or comments, please make sure you leave those down below as well, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Make sure you click on the blog hop or the blog link, because there is currently a blog hop going on for this month's kit, and I don't want you to miss out on any of the great inspiration from all of the other guests and designers for Scrapping for Less. I want to thank you guys so much for just spending this little bit of time. I'm sure we're coming off of the holidays, trying to relax and trying to get everything that is back in order. But I do appreciate you taking the time and watching this video. And again, I hope you do enjoy it. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe. So make sure you hit that button. Make sure you also ring the bell so that you know when the next video is live and ready for you to watch. I hope everyone's having a great day. But also, remember what's most important to me. Always be creative.